One of the things that I really love about the gardening community is that generally gardeners are incredibly generous people, and I'm a member of our local gardening group on Facebook, and so when I asked whether I could go and visit Stephen Law's garden, he said yes, of course. And so in this video, Stephen shares his love of gardening and gives us a tour of his garden.
Hello, I'm Stephen Law. We've lived here for 4 years now. We moved from northwest London in June 2019. We came to this house. We moved from a much smaller property, and I had a garden before that was tiny compared to this one, so I was delighted when I took over this larger garden, which has been a bit of a project for me for the last 4 years. I was in the RAF for 6 years up until 1987, and a neighbour at the time suggested, why don't you, a bit of gardening? Well, it started off as a bit of gardening, and within a year I was full up with work. And also I've always had it as a hobby. I spent my spare time looking after my own garden, although saying that, it was much smaller. Our previous garden, much smaller than this, but now I'm retired, of course I get a lot more time to dedicate to this one. I'd say I spend this time of year probably 25-30 hours a week in the garden. Some of the plants I've still got now are some of the original plants. They're ones that I thought were worth keeping. A few camellias, a great big hydrangea out the front, a lovely acer up halfway up the back garden here. A number of original plants is less than 10, and they tend to be shrubs that I've kept. A lot of the plants when we came here were either in a poor sort of state of repair, for want of a better word, or they were planted too close together, or they were extremely boring plants. So I wanted something a little bit, well, I had these little visions, and I thought I could make it much more exciting. I started off with like small areas like at the back here, so I started up this far end in the corner. One of the first things we did was buy a banana plant, actually, which is still there now, and in its 4th year, because I think we got that soon after we got here. So I started in that corner, and then that was a very small corner as well, but as with all these things, the small corner became like a crescent, which it is now, and then I came up the back fence a little bit the next year. So that was really just about that corner and this far corner over here for the first season. So here we have got in the corner a ceanothus, which flowers in about May time, nice deep blue flowers. A couple of roses, Desdemona, Margaret Merrill. Margaret Merrill's got a lovely, these both got a nice scent. Margaret Merrill's actually named after the lady who had something to do with that oil of Ulay. Got some another climber there, some sunflowers I grew from seed, so they're all different types as well. So we've got some short ones, some multi-headed ones, Diacia hopleys, which I've got all over the garden, which are propagated from one plant. I've got a little Daphne there, flowers sporadically all through the year. Got Angelica gigas there, lots of thalictrums, which I particularly like. This is a very nice one, which name escapes me, but lovely colour. Weigela, which when I first bought it, it came as a little cutting the size of that, and it's grown like that in the last 3 years. That's nice pink flowers, that's blossom, that's called. Some geums down here, flower a bit earlier, they're all right for shade as well. Some more sunflowers, again, which I grew myself. 1 or 2 haven't flowered yet, but there's loads of buds on there. Hanging baskets across the fence, 1, 2, 3 on there. I grew all those myself from seed, and then over the last 4 years I've gradually extended it to a point where last year it sort of joined all the way around, and then I've gradually planted it up as I bought these plants and been inspired to do it. I didn't buy them all straight away. It's been a very gradual thing and adding to it. I haven't really actually taken anything out because I've sort of thought long and hard about what I've put in, and most of the things have been pretty successful. There's 2 euphorbias here, both the same variety. They flower early on. Nice buddleia, that's as tall as it gets. cut that right hard back down in the spring. Comes up lovely, flowers for weeks, loads of bees, butterflies, etc. Veronicastrum here, which is about flower. Again, lovely for the bees, hoverflies, etc. Lupin, Hemeracalis daylily there. Achillea, that's doing well. Little bit of support on this one, just to show you. This is the sort of thing I use to just support the plants. It's like bent iron rod, steel rod, sorry. Another Veronicastrum, slightly different variety. Little bit of an oxeye daisy, it's found its own way there. So sweet peas, which I like to grow because you can just let them ramble through other plants, as long as you keep deadheading them, will keep coming. Some Helenium here, which is going to come a little bit later, probably later this month. So calendulas there, yeah, which are one of my favourite border bedding plants for the summer. I do like bedding as well. I've grown a lot of bedding this year, so bedding to me, for a start off, means as much colour as possible. It doesn't have to be, oh, you know, that pink doesn't go with that orange sort of thing. You just want a right of colour because it's not staying there, it's there for the summer season and you want it to just fill the pots. A couple of rose bushes, we've got Eustace Fire there, which was very nice earlier on, and Olivia Rose Austin. There's a hop plant there, which actually I've managed to use the hops to make some beer for the last couple of years. Coming around here, we've got some, these ones have turned up by themselves. They're musk mallows. They're like just a wild flower really, but they gave such a lovely show. I just left them there. Some Solidago fireworks there, which again is going to, big spray of yellow flowers about to come out. Achillea behind that. Behind that we've got some fennel, which found its own way there, but makes a nice show. I like sort of altering things and having like a project in the garden. So I have a sort of vision when I start, as I've done things to the garden, but then there's lots of light bulb moments, especially buying plants. It's one of the, I think a lot of people are like that, where you watch a program and you go, oh, I must have one of those. But I do, like I say, get inspired by plants, and also I tend to order from all different places because a lot of people specialise in certain things. Yeah. So I like, if somebody's more into a particular thing like perennials or something, then I'll try those. I've had very good experiences by mail order, because I think much as obviously I do go to garden centres, but I find with some plants you tend to get what I call the classic versions of the variety. You'll get that particular hydrangea, you'll get that sort of particular perennial, where if you go to a specialist nursery you'll find much more diversity within the varieties. Banana plant, I've had that 4 years. That got killed down to about 2 feet in the winter, but that's come back with a vengeance, and this is an offspring off it, which I just put the spade down the side of the plant, took a section off it last winter, and this is what's come up this year. This is about the size of what this plant was when we first got it. This plant's now got 9 stems on it, and it's grown, well, it was a lot taller than that before it got cut down, but it's come back with a vengeance this year. That's good. More sweet peas in here, and then over here we've got some Angelica gigas, which again I grew from seed. They're a biennial plant, so you grow them 1 year, they survive over the winter, then they flower the next year, then that plant will die. But when these come out fully, they're like the size of a small football when they come out, and the wasps, bees, hoverflies absolutely love those for the nectar you get on the plant. Here we've got Cosmea lucifer, which again I put in there just a bit of a fiery colour, and it's a nice tall plant to grow in amongst everything else. And this hydrangea, which is in a pot, we actually bought from our previous property with us, so it's probably about 5 or 6 years old, that plant now. Gives us a nice show every year. The thing I sort of make a big point of doing before I put anything in is really prepare the ground properly. So, and that's really helped, I think, everything thrive, because I don't feed, anything I feed nowadays in the garden is just pots really. I don't feed any of the borders. There wasn't any like nasty weeds particularly in the garden. It was just a matter of, because this was just grass along here, I had to sort of cut the border out. So once I had stripped the turf and everything, I stacked that to one side, used it later once it had rotted away. First couple of years I did have to buy a lot of compost and stuff in to improve, because I wasn't, I hadn't made enough of my own then. Now I'm fairly sort of self-sufficient in that I make enough each year to give the garden a good sort of dressing in the autumn and winter. So, and then just keep topping it up. I mean, once I put the plants in, I've you know, apart from pulling the odd weed out, I don't touch the soil. I just keep layering it with mulch and everything. And I always found from the business that the easiest gardens I looked after were the gardens with the most plants in them, because the weeds don't stand a chance. I mean, if I pull a dozen weeds out of here each week, that'd be a lot, because the ground is covered with all the good stuff and loads of plants, so they don't really stand a chance. I've got nothing also invasive, so I'm not fighting against that all the time. I think you've got to be very careful when you put anything in that there's nothing that's pernicious. You know, that good preparation really pays off dividends. I'd like to just make this one in the back here probably another 18 inches wider, because I don't think it's quite deep enough. And also it allows me to buy some more plants to do. But just no, joking a little bit, because I have got some over there. I've got what I call ones in reserve. I've grown some from seed, perennials, and they'll be ready in the autumn. And although I grew them, I did reach a stage thinking, oh, they've turned out really well, but hang on a minute, I've got nowhere left to put them, so I'm going to have to make one of the borders bigger. They can't stay in the pots next year.